Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
It's the show that is always zigging when it should be zagging. It's the Audience of One show on Conroe's 106.1 and 104.5 FM, streaming on irlonestar.com and available wherever you get your podcast from. I am Andrew, broadcasting next to the man who can go cross-eyed but doesn't like doing it. It's Dick. I love the doorbell. Schisler. Ding dong, buddy. Ding dong.
Yeah, what's wrong with liking the doorbell?
You know what? You do you, buddy. Did you go out this weekend and ring a few bells?
Yeah. Yeah, I watched micro wrestling on Friday. Which
micro?
That's what they call themselves.
Is this the PC way of
I don't
saying?
know. No, actually, I learned a lot that day. Basically, it's a TV show, and
all right,
they travel around the country, and it's small people, and they wrestle.
Little.
Or little.
Mm-hmm. So you watched
micro.
You watched little person wrestling this weekend, huh?
Yeah.
It does seem a little bit exploitation-like,
Well,
but
see,
hey,
that,
if
no.
you're into it, you're into it. I suppose it's all fine.
No,
right?
that's my dad said the same thing, and I go, you know what? The most interesting thing about the whole experience was everyone working there was a little person. Everyone, meaning like the person taking your tickets. The person doing all the announcing, even the person like
micro-owned, micro-operated,
moving all the equipment. I think I saw one tall guy who helped like put the stage together. So I don't know if he worked at the convention center.
Did he boss everybody around?
No, he was just like he came out immediately right when it ended. That's what I love about these kind of events at convention centers, where it's like you got to be out here in 30 minutes. Like right when it,
he was the enforcer,
or no, like right when the show ended. Like they're like, see you guys later, and they go in the back. This guy comes out and just starts untying all the ropes. And I was
That's his job, man. He's the roadie, basically.
Yeah. But
so would you recommend going to micro wrestling to anyone else? Or was it one of these things, okay, I've done it once, check,
done it once.
Never going to do it again?
I don't really follow it. So I was surprised at how many people knew the names around me. Like they knew all the wrestlers' names.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of kids there.
Wow.
And from what I understood was, ironically, I ran into a bowling guy there.
Okay.
And he's all into it.
Okay. A mini bowler or?
No.
Okay.
But I was asking him because we're in line getting a beer, and I was like, so you go to these things? Like, I go to them all the time. And I'm like, okay, so
wow.
what?
It's his thing, man. It's his thing.
No, it really is. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, tell me about it then, because I don't really understand what's happening. And he goes like, well, this is more family friendly over here at the Lone Star Convention Center.
Okay.
Like you want to go to the ones that are at the bars because it gets wild.
Yeah, I bet.
And I was like, oh, okay, so I get what you're doing. But yeah, he's really into it.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time.
It was definitely an experience, that's for sure. I mean, I was impressed with a couple of those dudes. Good, even the ladies. The ladies jumped from the top ropes.
Yeah, they did.
Top like just throwing their bodies, just like any like a normal wrestler. So. More power to them. It was the weirdest part was, and I guess they had to do it because they had to fill time. But there was one guy was real small, and he comes like, I don't wrestle, but I sing, and he broke out into like 2 songs while in the middle of the stage or the not the cage, whatever they call it, the 4 corners or whatever the word is. But yeah, he sang 2 songs, and it was like rock and roll music, and I'm sitting here going, like, what the hell is going on here? Like this,
anything goes at the micro wrestling.
Because like at one point, our mutual friend Dallas goes, "This is wrestling, right? Like we're here to watch wrestling, right?" And I was like, "Man, I don't know what's going on. This guy's just singing a couple songs, I guess." It's like,
it's a musical interlude. You know, it does remind me, last week we were talking about the Easy Bake Oven, and one of the ingredients that, or not ingredients, but one of the recipes that you could make was the mini whoopie. and we didn't know what mini whoopie was or micro whoopie.
Yeah.
And so I went and looked it up, and no, it's not making sweet love to a small person. It's actually like a cookie, a cream-filled cookie, almost like a macaroon.
Okay.
Just so you know what a mini whoopie
Well,
is.
thank you. I'm very excited. But yeah, other than that, ate crawfish, got my head blown off. I've gotten to this place. I've gone to this place enough where they know me, and so when I order extra spicy, they messed with me, and they actually they were laughing at me, and they're like, "Oh, did you like that? Did you like your batch?" And I was like, "Yeah, do you have a popsicle?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we do."
Milk flavored popsicle, please.
And she's like, I knew you'd like that batch. And I was like, is this girl? I go, did she just get me? Did she just like purposely get me? Because
that's funny, man.
It was
That's
good.
funny.
It was very good food.
And it was also Easter weekend, so you got to celebrate Easter by seeing some little people wrestling. That's nice. You know, it did get me thinking, as a lot of people said, Happy Easter to me. Why do we say happy for virtually all holidays, but we only say Merry for Christmas? Notice that?
Yeah, but I also think it's cultural, isn't it? Like
I don't know. I mean,
what do they say in the UK? They don't say Merry Christmas.
Tally-ho.
No, they say
Good
something
day, old
else.
chap. I don't.
It's Happy Christmas. I think they say Happy Christmas.
Really?
In the UK.
Because see, to me, Merry seems like you're ramping it up a notch. Merry is more than happy. Happy is like, I'm a feeling, but if you're merry,
Yeah.
like you're getting into it.
No, I think what it is.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I'm really low in my ears, by the way, but you can probably hear me all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just noticed that. And to me, also, Happy Easter seems a bit strange considering, what all occurred at Easter. I don't know. Maybe we should rethink saying Happy Easter, maybe. Somber Easter. Yes, somber. Something.
I
Reverend
think
Easter.
I think it's from the music.
You think?
Yeah, because a lot of songs like "We Wish You a Merry Christmas," like I think it's driven by the marketing of Christmas.
Yeah, because didn't Charles Dickens write the Merry Christmas story back in the day or something? And that's probably what set it into pop culture, if I had to guess.
I thought it was Happy Christmas.
No one says Happy Christmas ever. And besides, you're more of a New Year's guy than Christmas anyways.
Yeah, Easter, definitely not an Easter guy. One thing that shocked me is coming to the studio on Friday.
Yes.
And they decided to do construction in front of the studio.
Oh yeah. I think you posted something.
Yeah, I was like,
online
no
about
no shows today.
Yeah.
That would have been a nice heads up, but it was loud. It was pretty funny. We were doing some recordings, and I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna work.
Yeah,
we'll
the studio is not
We'll see what happens.
soundproof enough, or not as much as you would like.
Well, when someone has a drill or
Right, a jackhammer.
outside,
Yeah.
and I still don't understand what they really did. They just put, if you notice, they just put carpet.
Yeah, I saw something out there.
And
Looked a little different.
So it's like, when did this decide to happen? I always wondered that about, especially here. The city is a great, the city of Conroe is really great. But what I love is like the changes that happen here.
Yeah.
I feel like they're on like a delayed response. So they might have made this decision like 10 years ago, and then some guy's like, "Oh, we already paid for this. I guess we should just do it." Because I know they're working on the first floor to redo it as a welcome center, but I guess they're literally doing it in little sections.
What do you think the odds are of getting a huge banner of us on the outside of the building on Conroe Tower here in downtown Conroe,
I say do
Texas?
it.
Oh, man. Because I know the budget is quite extensive for this remodel and has been the point of some conjecture
that's what I'm
amongst
saying.
residents.
It goes up. I'm saying it goes up and down, and then it's like, is this so they could say they did something?
Yeah, there you go. We're showing improvement. Signs of improvement. That's right.
It's just right in front of the studio. I was like, just right here? We're not doing
I think we do. We need a
doing
huge, 50, 60-foot banner picture of us on the side.
No.
It would look great.
No.
All right, Dick, are you ready to start the show, buddy?
No. How about your weekend?
It was good. Oh, actually, I went to the Houston Open PGA tournament.
Okay.
Yeah. Golf alive and well. Got to see the number one player in the world at the moment, Scotty Scheffler. He came in second place yesterday. But,
So when you go to those golf deals, isn't it usually like 4 days?
Yeah, I only went to one, though.
What day do you, like the tickets?
Saturday. I went to Saturday. Saturday, Sunday tickets are a little bit more expensive than the Thursday, Friday, usually. Yeah. Because that's when the party is really going,
Well, I mean, like, because I've only gone
those golf parties.
I've gone to like 2 PGA deals, and they're not really fun.
Yeah, it depends.
I don't see how you could get into it. Mainly because it's like you go to a hole and you literally sit. If you want to see your specific golfers, you just stay there.
Or you follow them. Now, there's a couple of different methodologies you can employ, right? You can sit at one hole and watch all the golfers come through, or you can follow one golfer, or you can just wander around, which I did. I sat for a little while,
which
and
I
wandered
find
around.
hilarious, though. It's like you're paying money just so you can wander around a golf course
Well, I would
and not
wander
play
and
golf.
follow. Yeah, it's kind of true.
And that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
because when I went to the Byron Nelson, is it called Byron Nelson?
Yes,
up in Dallas.
in Dallas. I've been to that one as well.
And it's like it's so funny because it's like you get there and like no one tells you what to do.
No,
Like there's no direction, and it's like
figure it out.
Yeah, and so I just wandered around, drank beer, and I was like, "This is a
There you
waste
go.
of my time."
No, I think that's pretty much what you do.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
It's a great time. Today is the day we're recording, April Fool's Day.
yeah.
You know, and in last year, I remember you asked me if I liked April Fools. I told you not really. I don't participate in any of the pranks. And, of course, I think that led you to assume that I had no joy in my life. I seem to remember that being a
No, I
conversation.
mean I like pranks, but designating a day where everything
exactly.
because what happens in my mind is now that if I pull a prank today, it's got to be 10 times worse.
Because you always got to amp it up, man.
Well, because it's April Fool's Day,
right.
So that means you can. It's like a get out of jail free card almost. So it's like
It has kind of changed over the years, and I think a lot of it has to do with social media, right? Because it used to be a prank between a couple of people. Maybe you go into work and your boss will say, excuse me, Dick, got some news to tell you. We're going to have to move you from your corner office to the cube downstairs in the basement. You'd be like, what? Yeah, I got some CEOs coming in. They're going to need your office. And you're, just kidding, April Fools. But now I think with social media, it's all like a bunch of corporations using it as a tactic for marketing. And it just kind of lost its luster. You know, what was it? Was it 7-Eleven that was doing something with hot dog flavored seltzer water? I saw that was a big deal. It's kind of like, all right, whatever. It's kind of lost its appeal.
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing. The internet, it's ruined everything except for this show.
I like it, but no, yeah, I don't really do April Fool's Day.
Yeah, me neither.
Ironically.
Okay, well, now we can start the show. Dick, when you were a kid, did you or any of your friends have a Power Wheel? You know what I mean when I say Power Wheel? One of those plastic, like, toy cars that ran on a battery and you could get in it and drive your friends around. They were usually like a Jeep or like a Porsche or something. Yeah, you had one of those?
I didn't have one, but I had friends that had one.
Yeah, I never had one too, and nothing said my parents have cash more than your friend having a Power Wheel. You knew when you went over to their house, if he had a Power Wheel, he had the coolest Nintendo games. The kid usually had everything, and I was enamored by those things. I loved
Well,
them.
like, because when my upbringing, I had 3 older brothers, so pretty much whatever they had, I got.
Yeah, they didn't have Power Wheels.
And they didn't have
apparently.
Power
Oh,
Wheels,
man.
so I got their bike. I'm trying to think, well, I got their car.
That does remind me, too.
Let's see.
Like, if you ever saw the, quote, Power Wheels that you were real excited about, and you got in it, and you looked down, and there were bicycle pedals. You're like, this isn't a Power Wheel. This is just a bicycle with a fancy plastic jacket on. I was always so disappointed when I'd find those. But I love those, and I never was able to convince the parents that I was a good enough child to have a Power Wheel. But I did have a 4-wheeler, so I suppose that.
So I'm
that.
I'm on Mattel's website.
Yeah? They
And
got to be going for like $500-600 bucks. I'm
So
guessing.
because Power Wheel is the brand. So
Yes,
I'm gonna pull it
correct.
up for the folks.
Yeah, they've got 4-wheelers, Jeeps. Jeep seems like always to be the real popular one.
So they have the Jeep, they have the Dune Racers, they have the Trikes that has your. Looks like it has your.
Yeah, those are that's a non-battery powered one there. That's just a regular big wheel, I guess it is.
So
They're pretty awesome, man.
$350.
Yeah, I bet that's a low-end model.
Well, I mean, I don't think they get any more expensive.
Okay, maybe
Yeah.
not. Because that's what I seem to remember the prices being
Well, that's what I'm saying.
years and years
Because
ago.
you're talking about Power Wheels, the brand, not like a little tiny car.
No, I mean, they are essentially tiny little cars, right?
No,
But
I mean you can probably find one for $1,000 that someone makes, and it's like
bet you can.
a higher quality one.
I bet you can. In fact, I have a related story here, which is why I'm bringing this up. But a pair of Florida women are attempting to create a new Guinness World Record by driving 500 miles down the state's coast in a pair of toy cars. So this is pretty interesting. It says Cassie Aran and her friend Lauren, who requested her name be withheld. Now, hold on a minute. If you're trying to capture a world record, you kind of have to have your name out there. You can't just go by Lauren. But anyways, they're documenting their adventures after setting off from Friendship Fountain in Jacksonville in a pair of ride-on toy cars. Now, if you look at the link I sent you, the cars they're using look pretty fancy. They're like Corvettes. They do look slightly bigger, like maybe Power Wheels for an adult. They're pretty dope, but they're going to try and attempt to go 500 miles in these toy cars. But what I find really interesting is this is a new record. So this world record doesn't actually exist. So they could have gone like 20 miles, to be honest with you.
Well, I was thinking this when I was reading over the rundown, and I think of the Guinness Book of World Records folks. When they first started that company, or whatever you want to call it, the entity, they were pretty serious about like what do we consider world records? Like what achievements?
Right. No, we must keep this highbrow and legit.
And then somewhere down the line where it was like, hey, our name's really popular. People are just making stuff up.
Anything goes,
like
right?
This guy, like the other one, last week I saw one. It's like the fastest consumption of lemon juice.
Right.
And it's a legit thing. And like it's a competition online. And I go, this is getting kind of weird, right? Like, because you can do that with every single liquid known to man.
You do grape juice. Oh, I've got the world record for grape.
That's what I'm saying.
I've got it for orange. It's just, you're right. It is kind of silly.
And I think the Guinness folks say, hey, man, these guys are doing our job for us. Let's just let them do it.
Yeah.
Like, we'll sell more books because we'll have a bigger book.
I think that has a lot
we'll
to
have
do
a
with
bigger
it.
book.
But, I mean, to me, Guinness Book is you got to be either the fattest, the tallest, or have the longest hair or fingernails. Those are always the ones that I think are the true world records.
Well, that's the time and dedication they put into that, especially the fingernail one. I remember seeing that. I go, what
They were wavy?
No, not even that. Like, they curled.
Yeah.
So it's been going on for 20 plus years, and you're like, all right, at one point you got to be like, oh, I can't open a door anymore.
That's the route.
So I think it's
cool.
That's interesting. And
it is kind of cool. Would you want to do that? Would you? I think, you know what, AOO as a marketing ploy for our show should do something around Conroe in some toy cars. We could just make our own Conroe world record, right? Or Conroe record. I guess it wouldn't be a world record.
Yeah, I mean,
see, those look pretty sharp. I don't know if you're still showing the video or not, but for the viewing audience and not just the listening podcast, these ladies are really cruising on the sidewalk. But here's the thing is, you're not always going to have a sidewalk available either. So at some point, you're going to have to be on the road. It seems quite dangerous.
I mean, they'll figure it out. What I love is this is for. Like,
I do it, man. I think we should do it for the show.
Channel or something like that. So I guess you have to.
Well,
they're personalities.
They're raising money for animal charities, including the Red Panda Network in Nepal, the Costa Rica Animal Rescue Center, and the Save a Fox Rescue in Minnesota.
We should do something that's controversial, like let's go to the SPCA and volunteer putting dogs down, and be like, how many dogs can we put down in a day?
Yeah.
And then we go like, hey, we're helping to clean the streets.
That is quite morbid. Good God.
Well, they do it. I mean,
yes, they're already going to do it. I don't know that that's necessarily what we want to put our name on,
okay.
But I like where your head is at, man.
Well, I mean, we gotta do something that has a headline. You know, it's gotta have a headline.
Maybe we can put them down while riding the Power Wheel.
Well, can you? I wonder. So we talk about how outrageous these world record attempts are.
Yeah, some of them.
So that means there are even more outrageous ones that Guinness gets.
Oh, you think they actually turned some down?
Oh, yeah. Well, see, the story is interesting because no one's ever done it.
Right.
So they've had to, and they put stickers all over their car saying, attempting the Guinness Book of World Record, that kind of thing. So no one can just say that. They have to contact them and be like, hey, do you guys have something for Power Wheel distance? And they're like, no, but that's a good idea.
You know what, though? I don't know if this has been completed, but it's going to take a little bit of time for them to go 500 miles. You and I could go to the Walmart right now, get one, and go 20 miles and hold the world record in the time being. Because, again, it's a new record. So any amount of time is going to be a world record holder.
No, what we should do,
could preemptively steal all of their thunder.
No, 501.
Oh, it's like a 5-minute abs, 6-minute abs or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, we beat your record, 501.
Oh, man, that would be terrible. Start right after they do, but don't say anything to them.
But no, I'm curious to see what the list of not confirmed.
I mean, technically, if I went around the block, it's a world record.
I don't know. It's stupid.
I don't know, man.
It's kind of stupid to me.
It's absolutely dumb. Well, staying on this theme of world records, a North Texas man is walking across America to raise awareness about building walkable communities. This is pretty cool, man. This guy's name is Holden Ringer. And he's basically closing in on the very end of this trip, but he's been walking across the country for nearly a year from Virginia to... No. Where is he starting? Actually, it doesn't say where he's starting. Or it probably does, but I can't find it.
Well, it says he's going through 14 states.
He's going through 14 states, but he's going to make it from coast to coast, I believe.
That's kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah, it is pretty cool, man. So he's stopping at certain areas and documenting it all along the way, which is kind of neat. He said he was studying for an exam and wishing he could be anywhere else. Just as a form of procrastination, he started Googling what it would be like to walk across America. I think this was during the pandemic when he was really, really bored. I want to know where he's starting. I know I read that in there somewhere.
Yeah, I think he's too much time, typical college student.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. But I wanted to reach out to this guy to see if we could interview him because I think it would be an interesting interview, but no response yet. How far do you think you would make it? Starting here at Conroe, how far do you think you'd make it?
I walked, when I was doing South by, I was averaging like 15 miles a day.
There you go. Well, how many miles to get across America? I think it's like 2,300 total is what it said. So real quick math, 2,300 divided by 15. Be there by next year.
Yeah.
By next spring break.
No, I find it hilarious that people do this kind of stuff to bring awareness. And he's like, we need walkable cities. And I'm
Here
like,
it is. Washington State to Washington, D.C.
So, because that to me sounds kind of silly.
Oh, the whole thing's silly. But, I mean, I think every kid probably has this idea.
Well, no, I'm saying like...
And he's actually like, you know what, I'll do it.
But I want to bring awareness to walkable cities.
Well, he might just be tying that, a cause on there. Really, it's all about just being a little hoodlum and walking across the United States. It's something we'd have to ask him, I guess, if we can get him on.
Is he saying like the bigger cities need to get rid of the homeless?
No, I think
because you can't walk in them?
No, I think it's more about how we build and develop and design our cities now to be more car-centric and not walkable. Essentially, walkable cities, think of a downtown urban environment that were built largely before the onset of the automobile. He's saying, hey, we don't design our cities that way. We can't really walk around. I'm going to walk across the United States, which if you think about it, kind of defeats his point because he's not only saying that, he's basically saying the entire United States is walkable. Now that I think about it.
Yeah. And drivable 500 miles in little Power Wheels. So if a Power Wheel can drive 500 miles, bro, you can walk that 500 miles.
Exactly. Way to go, Holden.
Yeah.
I think you just messed up.
No, it's silly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I really don't kind of get it. Because I hear a lot of complaints growing up in Houston. Everyone's like, oh, it's not bike-friendly. And I'm like, well, what's bike-friendly to you?
See, to me, bike-friendly is different from walkable.
Well, I meant more of like, because they're like, oh, it's not like Amsterdam. I'm like, well, then go to Amsterdam. Like, Houston's not Amsterdam.
Right.
It's not ever going to be like Amsterdam. Like, it's not like we can sit here and be like, oh, you want to spend $15 billion so people can ride a bike to downtown? Like, that's not going to happen.
Well, and I do think it's funny that, I guess here in the United States, our answer to having a bike-friendly city is just to put a little 3-foot wide bike lane on the side of the road and be like, there you go. Have at it, which to me seems extremely dangerous. Bicycles and cars really don't mix.
So this is visiting Austin really opened my eyes to people trying to achieve this because Austin to me is a very progressive city. They're going to like do a little bit more than say, oh, we're going to build bike lanes. So one thing I noticed though is driving through that city is the bike lanes are very inconvenient because they put them like in like if you watch where they go like in the middle of the road. They sway over. Mm-hmm. It's like the HOV lane almost. And then they decide to put up these poles.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen them.
And they're everywhere.
That's to keep the drivers.
I know. That's why I made a joke to my buddy. I was like, the only reason they did this is so it makes sure drivers are awake.
Right, I was going to say, it's like a game. Let's see how many of these guys we can hit.
Yeah, it's like, I can't imagine people drinking and driving or falling asleep late at night and just nailing these things because you have to keep swerving left and right while going down just a normal street. Not like a busy downtown street. I'm talking like a neighborhood street. And it's like, that'd be kind of funny. I bet there's some dude that has like the perfect spot and puts a camera up and you can watch these people just nail all these
over
things.
And over. Sadly, you might be true.
Well, and it's also one of those things I always argue with bikers is like, if you want to take it legit, then you probably have to have a license. Because I would say about 80% of the bikers I've viewed, they don't stop at stop signs. They just go.
Yeah.
Because I'm on a bike.
I may have been guilty of that yesterday, but I was in a suburban neighborhood and I just blew right through that.
Yeah,
stop
but I'm
sign.
saying like the mentality
Ain't
of
nobody coming. I don't got to stop. I'm not a
that,
car. That stop sign does not apply to me.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
the mentality of a biker is totally different. Because I used to bike a lot in Houston for distance biking, and I hated riding on the roads because a lot of the people didn't know the rules, and it's like I don't want to risk that. I'd rather I found a spot that was 14 miles, and I can just go back and forth if I want to do that.
Well, there you go.
So,
but no, I agree. I think that bicycle and automobile traffic just really you can't successfully combine them in any sort of safe way without putting up some of those large barriers. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Dick, a couple of weeks ago, I think maybe, or was it last episode? I don't know. We talked about the mutated sheep that this guy was.
Oh yeah, I got in trouble. You went to jail for it, right?
Yeah. He's going to do some time for it. And this was the genetically altered or mutated sheep that he was, I guess, raising to then sell to hunting preserves. And you made the comment about, well, don't we do the same thing with dogs? And I'm like, no, not really. Well, wouldn't you know, this story popped up last week. Crazy timing. But in Germany, the Dachshund, is that how you say it? Dachshund, could be under threat in that country, as the National Kennel Club said Wednesday, citing a new draft law that looks to prohibit the breeding of dogs with, quote, skeletal anomalies. So think about this. We have these sort of breeding habits where
they're still doing breeding programs over there in Germany, huh?
Are they now? I think you're referring to something else. So, no, but basically these skeletal anomalies is where what they're referring to is if you can breed dogs with really short legs or really long bodies, because we find it cute.
Isn't that how the pit bull or something like that was made?
Maybe.
The pit bull. Which one has like the really small nose?
I mean, a lot of them do.
They have breathing problems like crazy.
Oh, the French bulldog does.
Yeah, that's because if I remember someone telling me.
That's correct. That would be considered like a skeletal anomaly.
Yeah.
And they're trying to pass legislation that says you can't do that anymore. And that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Join the SPCA, man.
Yeah, have you seen the videos of like the cats? It mostly looks like it's in, I don't know, Japan or something, and the cats literally have like 1 inch tall legs. And they're really,
I don't know.
They're really kind of cute. But the problem is they can't. I'm
conflicted with all that kind of stuff because, like, last night I was getting gas and there was this sweet dog, and I was sitting there going, I had a tag and everything, and then I go inside the convenience store. I was like, y'all know you have a dog out here, and he's like, yeah, we know. And I'm like, well, is it like a neighborhood dog, or then I realized I'm like butting my business into people,
right?
And then I was like, oh, this is so weird because he was just laying next to.
Sure. Yeah.
Where you pump gas. It was just like the dog was just hanging out.
He's a store dog.
And I don't know. Because he didn't say it was a store dog. And so usually that's my dog. I just let him
Well, if he's not a genetically altered dog, he's perfectly fine. It says, according to the German Kennel Club, other favorites like the German Shepherd, the Schnauzer, and even Snoopy himself, the Beagle, could also be affected. But basically, like I said, it's to stop the reproduction of breeds that are prone to particular problems such as spinal issues or dogs with short legs and a long back. So I thought that was pretty interesting, seeing as how we had just talked about this. But I'm sure it has something to do also with the dogs that have the small noses because they have breathing problems and whatnot.
Because it's like they don't have a long... Well, especially like the bigger dogs, like the Pyrenees. Those dogs only live for like 8 years, 6 years.
Yeah.
The Irish Wolfhounds and stuff,
mm-hmm.
they don't...
No, larger dogs don't live very long in general. But what I think is funny is like the Weiner Dog, the Dachshund, I don't know why I can't say this, the Dachshund, is like basically the national dog of Germany. And so this law would basically seek to eliminate
I figured it'd be the German Shepherd.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the name.
Well, yeah, but it's like French fry. That's not really from France. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know either.
I don't know. Dick, this is one of the more wild stories that I've come across. This is from Business Insider, one of my favorite sites. A university student in Taiwan who had his legs amputated in hopes of receiving $1.3 million in insurance payout has been arrested on suspicion of fraud, local prosecutors say. Now, this is pretty wild. So basically, this dude's last name is Zhang. He's 23 years old. His buddy basically convinced him to stick his feet in a bucket of dry ice for 10 hours, causing frostbite so severe that they had to amputate his legs. Now, you might be thinking, well, how the heck does insurance come into play? Well, they came up with this great scheme. They basically said that they were riding around on the back of a motorcycle in Taiwan, and the cold temperatures are what caused his feet to get freezer burn, I guess, so frostbitten, and had to get amputated. The problem is...
See, Guinness Book of World Records for
stupidity. The problem is Taiwan at the time was not experiencing temperatures that were nearly cold enough. In fact, on the night in question, it was a low of 42 degrees. What an idiot. What length are you going to go to, Dick, to collect $1.3 million? Would you lose both feet, 1 feet?
See, that's not enough money.
I don't know, man.
That's not enough money for me.
I know. Actually, at this point, he's only collected $7,300, and he's got to return that now, too. The story would be funny if it wasn't so sad.
Well, what's crazy to me is no one ever, like, not that buddy who recommended it, he didn't do it. So what's going on with that?
Well, his friend apparently was into the cryptocurrency game and lost a bunch of money. And so has told his friend, "Hey man, you gotta help me out. I gotta get made whole again."
I like it.
Yeah, we'll chop your feet off.
Okay.
Absolutely terrible.
But yeah, I'm not doing any of that kind of stuff.
No? All right. I think it's probably a pretty good time to take a break. When we come back, I have an interesting story about a fake firefighter. Audience One Show.
Okay, I know we're on a break, but
We were on a break.
I know we're on a break, but I'm getting tired of all these articles Andrew keeps sending me.
They're great, and you know it.
It's all trash.
Kind of the point.
But it got me thinking, Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
You, the listener, can submit articles
and
ideas and topics.
Yeah, they can.
audienceofoneshow@gmail.com.
That's correct.
Or Facebook, look up Audience of One Show with Andrew and Dick.
Otherwise, you're subject to stories about kids sleeping outside that apparently Dick cannot stand.
No. I mean, I'm tired of this fake news, and I know the cancer that is growing within Audience of One is Andrew and his terrible articles. So we need stories.
Come on, man. It's not that bad.
We need stories. So send us your ideas at audienceofoneshow@gmail.com. And Facebook, Audience of One with Andrew and Dick.
That's us.
All right. So we look forward to hearing from you guys. And hopefully we have better topics on the next episode.
And if we don't, and they're still terrible, I suppose it's my fault.
Yes. All right. We are back with Audience of One. Here every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Lone Star Community Radio. Doing whatever we want. Don't forget, you can always reach out at audienceofoneshow@gmail.com. Email us with your cool findings of news stories, absurdities, and overall craziness. I like to be crazy. Audience of One with our onesies.
Okay.
Right? There you go. I like it. But we're back now, and you wanted to talk about, what did you want to talk about? Furries again?
I'm always wanting to talk about furries. No, I teased something, and I don't even know if I remember what it was. Oh, yeah, fake firefighter. We'll get to that here in a minute. But we've got the solar eclipse coming up next week. It is on the 8th, not the 4th, like we said last week.
Yay,
yeah.
Yay.
And I know that everyone's expecting to travel into the line of totality in the Central Texas area and all the paths in between. But
I'm ready for the meteor to take me.
Well, we'll get to that here in a second.
What it is?
No,
is it a meteor?
We're gonna get to that, but hold on. What the heck was I saying? Oh yeah, but what I didn't realize was here in the Houston area, we're gonna be at 96.4% dark. It may not be the 100 or 99.9 like it is in the path. But I'm like, that's pretty darn close. That's, you know what? That's good enough for me. I didn't realize that. I thought it was going to be a much smaller path that's going to experience darkness. Apparently, we're going to get pretty dark here. That's like an A+, 96.4.
See, I would wonder what I would love if Onesie knows, where could I go to see total darkness?
Well, dude, we've talked about this several times.
Well, no, because like if you're in Houston,
you're not going to see total 96.4%.
I know, but like the lights are still going to be on.
Yeah, your street lights will probably pop on, things like that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, I wonder if there's a place in the woods.
Yes, so
that I could be, and it's just like
basically look at the math of the path of darkness and go pick a spot outside of a city There you go. And that actually is becoming more and more popular too, where some of these cities are not going to be able to take in as many people. Now folks are trying to find like camping sites in remote areas along the path so they can be out in the wilderness away from people. But good luck trying to get away from it. But hey, man, I didn't realize that we were going to be fairly dark here too. So we have that. We have that.
Well, yeah.
You looking for a camping spot now?
No, I'm just curious because it really does go from Texas, then it is kind of football throws northeast.
Except in the opposite direction, but yes.
No, it's I'm on it right here.
Is it going that direction? I thought it went the opposite direction.
No, it's going Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Illinois, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York.
And that's the order in which it's going?
That's what it looks like.
Okay. I thought it was the opposite way. What do I know?
Yeah, 90% where we are.
Yeah, 96.4 is what I saw. Like, that's good enough for me, man.
So now you can finally be yourself for,
C-
for
C's
4
get
minutes.
C's get degrees, man. Yeah, I can be myself and get my purge on. Well, staying on this subject of celestial events, and I think this is what you were referring to, do you remember the Hail Bop comet and the Heaven's Gate cult that made news?
Isn't that the one like they
25,
believe their
26
spirit
years
is going to be delivered to the meteor because they have to go home?
Yeah, something like
and
that.
And they killed themselves?
It was March 24th, so actually that was just a few weeks ago, the anniversary of it. 39 members of the Heaven's Gate cult went to a rented house in an upscale San Diego suburb and took their own lives in an attempt to board a UFO they believed to be traveling passing the Hail Bop comet. I remember this, man, because this hit me. I was probably 18, 19 years old at the time. This was prime age for me to be way into this story. And what I remember more than anything was the images of those Nike shoes that came out of this, right? And because they weren't showing pictures of the people's faces, when they showed all the bodies laying there in that home, all you could see were their feet, and they were all matched in these black and white Nike shoes. And they were part of a discount line. And the leader of the cult, Marshall Applewhite, not to be confused with the University of Texas quarterback, Major Applewhite, by the way, he had gotten those shoes because they were really, really cheap. And he got them at a good deal. And so he passed them out to all their folks. And I forget there's the name for this line. But, of course, Nike had to do what every corporation probably has to do and come on and say, we don't have anything to do with this. And they immediately discontinued making those shoes. But what that did was an unintended boon in the sales of those shoes. And then now those shoes are highly sought after in terms of their collectability, right? Some of these things are going for $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 on eBay or whatever because those are the model shoes that were used in the Hail Bop Comet Heaven's Gate cult. Do you remember this thing pretty well? I do. It sticks out to me. I'm a little older than you.
I just remember hearing the story of their UFO dudes, and they believe they're like it's something like their spirit or something like they're stranded on Earth, and this is the only time they could like hitch a ride back.
Yes, it was going to be the closest that it was going to come to Earth.
Yeah.
It was on this day, and they were going to all voluntarily kill themselves so that their spirits could be lifted onto this comet and take them away to their heavenly reward.
I like
the shoes were called the Decades. Nike Decades.
I like it.
Yeah. And it's been decades
unintended
ago.
pop phenomenon right there.
It really was, right? Because I'm sure Nike was thinking, oh, great, this is going to be terrible. And it actually was a boon for them. But they do look rather cheap. I'm looking at a picture of them here right now.
It's only going to get worse, too, because of social media.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
Things like this will live on because of social media?
No, I meant more of like the idea of, oh, look at the shoes. Those look tight. I want to get those shoes that those people kill themselves in.
They kind of...
And so I'm saying, like those kind of fads are going to be coming really easily now.
Do you think Nike could come back out with these and get away with it these days? Or do you think people would just be outraged? I can't believe you.
No, I mean, I don't see why they can, but they just don't acknowledge that it's connected. You just like, oh, we're just bringing back old pairs of shoes.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. It's just random. Oh, yeah, that's right. We forgot. All those people died in those shoes. My bad. I don't know. I think.
See a big deal.
I think. Oh, come on! Today's outrage culture. I can't believe boycott Nike.
But see, the problem is no one cares about those people who committed suicide.
Somebody did. That was a mother, a father.
Yeah, but they were crazy.
They were. Some of the men actually, if I remember correctly. We could probably do a whole show about
But
just
that's
the
what I'm saying.
cult.
Like, it wasn't like a tragedy that
They
happened.
like castrated themselves
yeah,
too,
like
man.
I'm saying,
It's
like
weird.
it was a really weird scenario.
Yeah.
Because realistically, I think like when they first reported, it's like, oh, we just found a house full of dead people, and then they started doing actual reporting on the Heaven's Gate people, like the actual UFO religion, and they're like, oh, this isn't good for TV.
This is weird stuff
because people are into this. So that's why I don't think it'd be that big of a deal.
Okay, I don't know.
It's not like you
let's
can't
petition Nike to
well,
sell
it's
the
not like-
decades again.
It's not like they stopped selling, red dresses from Schindler's List.
But they could. What's stopping them?
I don't know. I mean, like, it's not like they stopped
It's tacky. It's tacky. Dick, are you familiar with what the Iditarod is?
that. Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah? No? Nothing coming to mind? That is the annual dog race that takes place in Alaska in early March. So it just finished up, and it travels from Anchorage to Nome.
Oh, okay. So the actual sled.
Yeah, it's the big dog racing sled, and they do it in like blizzard conditions.
I think you have to, don't you?
I mean, yeah, it is Alaska, right? So I'm assuming it's just going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, the guy who won this, well, hold on. It says that I have this little note that I thought was pretty interesting, that oftentimes the temperatures will reach 100 degrees Fahrenheit in the wind chill. And the distance takes them about 8 to 15 days or more, depending on the weather, to get through this thing, which is pretty crazy. But the guy who won, his name is Dallas Seavey. He's like the GOAT, basically. He's like the Michael Jordan of this thing. He's won it, I think, 6 or 7 times. And something really interesting happened this year, and I don't know if you heard this story.
Oh, the dogs were juicing.
Yeah, you know what? I'm sure that's a thing. But no, apparently there is a rule that if a wild animal, such as a moose, were to come out and you have to kill this animal, because this is out in the wilderness, you have to properly field dress the animal. I'm not entirely sure why. Well, this happened to Dallas Seavey in the first 10 minutes of the race. A moose comes out, and he is forced to shoot this thing, right? So he goes over there and real half-ass, like, guts this thing, okay? Does it in about 10 minutes and just continues the race. Well, he finishes, ends up winning. They found this moose along his trail and said, you did not properly field dress this moose. We're going to penalize you 2 hours. But Dallas Seavey, being such the BA that he is, didn't matter. He still won, even with the 2-hour penalty. And I'm thinking it probably was because it was in the first 10 minutes. If this had happened on day 7, he's probably going, all right, I got some time built up. I can properly do this. But since the race just started, he's like, oh, I'm not stopping right now.
You know, it's
I'm
fun.
going to take my chances, just stab this thing a few times, and just go. And I'm so good, I'm going to make up the time on the back end.
Well, I mean, like, and this is going to, I kind of want to know how this stuff works, because the mushers,
Yes, they're called mushers. I love it.
What is it, like 10 dogs?
Yes.
It's something like that. Like,
Hold on, I
it's
got
not
the
like
notes
4
here.
dogs or 2 dogs. It's like it's
12 to 16 dogs.
12. I mean, that's a lot.
Of which at least 5 must be on the tow line at the finish, meaning they must be pulling the sled. So I guess the other ones are just hanging out in the back, resting or whatever,
Dead.
playing
They're
playing
dead.
Xbox.
Field dressed.
Field dressed, exactly. Well, this year 3 dogs did die.
Yeah.
Which of course prompted animal rights activists to put in
Well, that's what I'm saying.
calls to end this race.
Like, it's so funny to me to think about being dragged by 12 dogs. And
Yeah.
then what's funny is like, oh, I have to feed these 12 dogs.
It's all part of it, man.
So I guess that's what the moose is for?
No, that's the thing. I think they pack their own food, their rations or whatever, and the moose is just an obstacle. I don't think you're going to field dress that and then pack the moose meat. And this is reminding me of your Build-A-Bear scenario.
I'm just saying, like, but I'll be really happy. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't have to feed these dogs, right?
I guess. I imagine it's like anything else. They're highly trained athletes, and their diets are probably very, very strict. And moose meat, fresh off the bone, may not be.
I think that's funny though, to be in the wilderness with like 12 dogs.
It is kind of weird.
and then like they're pulling you. It's
Yeah.
not like you're walking them.
No, I can't believe it. This guy's only 37 years old, and he is the winningest musher in the 51-year history of the Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race. Maybe we
It should
should.
be cool to go see though. I'll be down.
Well, the very end of it, yeah, it's in it's in Anchorage, and so at that point you're in a city. They kind of finish right in the
I
middle of
love
the city.
dogs.
That would be kind of cool.
It's so much fun.
Yeah. Well, that's really sweet. How do you think your little Freddie would do?
Oh, terrible.
She'd last about 10 minutes.
Terrible.
She'd see that moose and go, I'm out. I'm out.
No, she'd probably try to eat it.
Or she'll crawl inside of it after you
She'll
field dress
probably
it.
try to eat the moose.
Yeah, she's kind of that way, you said.
She doesn't understand.
That's not how this
I was
works.
like, you're about to get wrecked. Have you ever seen the video of the moose getting hit?
Oh, my God. This is like the Shake-A-Pear thing, man. You
ever seen
By the way, I watched that video that you sent me of the ball slapping. That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, man. That's not even funny.
It's
stupid.
You know it's not real, right?
Yes, it was a bit. It was just
I
dumb.
thought that was great.
And it's exactly what you would think it is, onesies. It's a bunch of guys in Speedos smacking themselves in the midsection.
Well, no, they're doing they're in the park, and it's kind of like the yoga thing.
So dumb.
And
I don't
he's
get
like, it opens the mind's eye. Lets all the information in so you could be a better person.
Smack, 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 smack. No, thank
so
you.
Good. What are you talking about? That's so funny.
Dick, are you creeped out by octopuses? What a transition.
Yeah, I mean,
I kind of am.
Anything in the water, I'm kind of like, no.
Yeah, I'm always weirded out by them because they've got, all those crazy arms, and they writhe around and can contort themselves pretty crazy. You're watching a video now. It's got me really confused. Oh, my God.
Yeah, here, let me see.
I can't
believe you've never seen this.
Okay, God. Dick, stick to the run sheet.
Yeah,
oh, my
hold
God.
on.
All right.
This is the moose.
For our podcasters who
the moose.
can't see this, he
Yeah,
decides
he can.
to go
I put
find...
it up. I put it up for him.
I know, but that's for our viewing audience.
Oh, man.
If you can't see this, there's a moose that is crossing the street that gets hit by a small vehicle going probably 60 miles an hour, and that moose flies. Thank you for showing me that, Dick. I'm weirded out by octopuses, though. And so, like I said, it's because they can contort and
You ever seen anyone eat a live octopus?
So that's where I was going. I had a coworker that I'd known for years, and we went out to lunch one day to like this Asian buffet, and they weren't live, but there were these little baby octopus there, and I made the comment like, "Oh, that's disgusting. Who's going to eat that?" And he's like, "Well, me." And he grabbed a few of those, put them on his plate, and he ate these things. I'm like, "Dude, you were normal in my eyes a few minutes ago. Now I can't talk to you anymore. That is the most disgusting thing."
There's a movie, I want to say it's a South Korean movie. It's called Old Boy.
Oh boy?
Old
All
Boy.
right.
And there's
Continue,
it's a
Old
pretty,
Boy.
It's a pretty crazy movie, by the way. But there's a scene where he eats a live octopus. And I was just like, dude,
See, apparently that's dangerous
wild.
because the suction cups will stick to like your throat and your tongue, and it tries to crawl back out. That's what I had heard. That it's actually a dangerous practice to eat live octopus.
I already know what it tastes like, too. It just tastes gross.
Well, did you know?
Put some salt on that, baby.
Ugh, they're nasty, man. They just look gross. Did you know that octopi, actually have brains inside of their arms that operate independently of one another?
That's cool.
Can you imagine if that was the way humans were built? The trouble that you would get into, Dick. Think about that for a minute.
My right's more aggressive.
I didn't do it. It's just my hand.
My
I promise.
My left foot.
The Me Too would just be out of control,
No.
especially in the way guys operate. Yeah, man, that's crazy. So, yeah, it says each arm gathers sensory information to drive its own movements and even those of other arms without consulting major brain regions. That is really weird, man. That's why I'm scared of them. I have heard this theory that they're one of the most intelligent animals, and I don't know about that, but...
Well, what do you count as intelligence?
Exactly. I don't know. I guess because it's got multiple brains.
Like, for example, I know a species that they put their feet in dry ice for 10 hours, and then they try to pass it off as an insurance scam.
Uh-huh.
So, sounds pretty intelligent.
Right. Oh, man.
Wasn't there like an octopus who was pretty good at guessing the World Cup? Remember that?
Oh, yeah, I do remember that from a few years ago.
Yeah. And then it got it wrong. And I'm like, oh, I guess he wasn't right. And then they ate him.
Did they eat him? But I do remember that. Yeah, he would have a...
You know what? That would be a
I'd
pretty
looked that
strong flex, though, if you had an aquarium and you had an octopus in it.
Yeah, it is
Like,
cool looking.
to me-
I
to
guess
that's
as a
really unique.
as a pet, pose that would be kind of cool.
Like that to me is like, you go to people's houses and they're like, "Oh, I got flounder," and it's like from the Little Mermaid, and I'm like, "Well, I got Ursula." That would be pretty cool.
No, I think it would be cool in a tank maybe, but I'd be afraid at night that thing would sucker up the glass, right,
but
and
it
then come in and
can't
suck on my face.
It can't breathe out of the water.
Just long enough to kill me, man. Nah, I'm terrified of them.
Do you just live in fear every day?
Of octopus every single. In fact, I come here to the studio, I look under the desk just to make sure there's
Man,
not a stray
that
one.
would be pretty great if that was your rational fear
Of
of
octopuses
octopuses
on dry land.
Yeah, it's just like
Awesome.
that's great. Man.
Have you heard of the thing called muscle memory? Like when you've been doing something for so long,
Yeah.
and like say, I don't know, throwing a baseball, hitting a golf ball, even bowling or something, and you try and do something different, and you can't, or it's very difficult because you have, quote, muscle memory. Have you heard of this?
Sure.
Well, unlike octopuses, we don't have brains in our limbs, so we don't actually remember anything in our arms and legs. But it is true that once you learn how to do something physical, whether it's like riding a bicycle, for example, it becomes easier and easier to do without even thinking. So it kind of seems as though our muscles do actually have memory. But they don't, Dick. They don't. So in this example that I found on the internet, it says learning to ride a bike is an exercise in episodic memory. You can know how to ride a bike without really even being able to explain how you're doing it. Biking is an unusual case because there seems to be a moment in which you finally understand it. But learning to do it is really difficult and involves this kind of memory. Do you remember learning to ride a bike? And like,
Kinda.
for whatever reason, I remember it very vividly.
Like I remember not having training wheels.
Yeah, for the first time. Well, you had to.
No.
You had to have taken them off at some point, right?
No, I never had them.
Oh, Oh, man, you went old school, right?
Well, because it's my brother's bike.
Oh, so they took them off and then they just gave it to you and never put them back on for you.
Well, why would they save training wheels?
For little
They
Richard
they
Schisler.
probably had no idea I was coming.
Well, that's true too. That's true too. Surprise.
Yeah.
So you learned to ride without. So for me, I remember, and of course my mom's probably going to hear this and go, no, that's wrong, but this is my memory of it. My dad actually behind me, I think it was my dad, holding onto the seat. I think this is very, very common. And you're like, don't let go, and you're riding. And he at some point lets go.
Yeah.
And then once he sees that you've got control of this, they just stop. And I'm talking to him. I remember going, oh, don't let go, Dad, don't. And I was riding at that point. And he's way back behind me. And, of course, I freak out. Well, you let go. But that was my first moment of being able to ride a bike.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
Glad you shared that story with me.
Yeah.
Our relationship has grown deeper.
Well, it says all of this is, the reality is all this activity. All this
right
activity
after your dad released you.
Yeah, so to speak, right?
Did you know how to stop?
That's a good question. I don't remember stopping.
I always think that's like the funniest thing where everyone who's learning to ride a bike puts so much emphasis on like riding the bike and like getting going, and then but no one ever really says this is how you stop. A lot, like they don't really, because you don't.
Right, you don't think about that. The main focus is staying up and going, and then once you go, you're like, perhaps we should have covered the stopping.
Perhaps no, because what I love is when people, especially on mountain bikes and higher end bikes, they have front back brake and front brake.
Sure.
And I've always seen kids like not think of like, oh, I'm supposed to not push the front brake.
Yeah, because then you like end up endoing, right? And they called an endo.
Yeah, you just go.
Yeah, man.
And those are always great.
It's like Mission Impossible style, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's great to see their face because they realize the mistake they made.
The back is coming
like,
over.
oh, that's not it.
Yeah.
And then, it's pretty funny. But riding bikes, cool. Whatever.
Yeah, it is. It says here, it feels to us as if the memory is stored in our muscles, as if they're remembering how to perform an action without our really being aware of it. But in reality, the activity is indeed happening in our brains because you don't even think about it when you're riding a bike. You just get on and you go. And you don't even think about how you're doing it.
Well, it's more of the balance, too.
Yeah. Oh,
not even the pedaling.
Part of it.
It's just like the balance thing feels so natural after you learn how to do it. And then what I love is try to get on a bike 20 years later.
Or a skateboard. I did that not too long ago.
Yeah.
Somewhere in my 30s, that talent was gone.
My equilibrium has
Yeah,
shifted,
yeah.
and I like being on the ground.
Exactly.
Not moving.
But when you're younger, riding a skateboard was not a big deal. It says the parts of your brain responsible for that movement, mainly the motor cortex, develop stronger connections between neurons that serve as the representation for the motion. Isn't that crazy? And it's these connections that make the memory better and easier to access so you don't even think about it. Kind of cool, man.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. Well, staying on this muscle memory theme, I think, have you ever heard of this Indian ascetic named Amar Bharati, who's been advocating for world peace for almost 50 years by holding up his right hand into the air without ever lowering it? And
Is this a Guinness Book of World Records?
it probably is, but no, this guy is not going after Guinness Book. He's going after world peace, Dick. I said that. World peace. And there's a picture of this dude holding his arm up, and it's pretty wicked because his arm is completely atrophied at this point. It's locked into place. Whoa. Yeah, and he's been holding it up for 50 years. It says basically as a holy person in Hinduism, he's rejected all worldly desires. Bharati was a married man with 3 children who worked as a clerk in New Delhi until 1970 when he quit his job, left his family and friends to devote his life to Shiva, one of the principal deities of Hinduism.
This dude.
Awesome, called the primordial yogi. I love that. Yeah, man. So one day he just wakes up and says, in 1973, as a symbol of devotion to...
That hurts looking at it.
He just held his arm up, and now it looks basically like a stick. But I'm thinking, like, after about 10 minutes, when your arm starts to get really tired at the very beginning, you kind of just go, this was a bad idea. I think I'm going to put... When no one's looking, you kind of lower it real quick.
I feel like you get to the point where you go, well, I've gotten this far. I don't know if I can go back.
At 10 minutes, I'm going back. Now he can't go back. His arm is literally locked
That's what I'm saying.
into place. I imagine it would snap the tendons and thing
talk
there
about
after,
that.
if they tried to lower
You
it.
should throw an octopus on him. How you gonna deal with that?
Well, with one arm up in the air, I suppose. I guess if he were to go into a classroom, the teachers would always get annoyed thinking he had a question. That would be kind of annoying. But you hadn't heard of this dude? It's pretty wicked. I don't know. His hand looks really deformed too.
Oh, I know what I'm saying. It does not look pleasant at all.
No, and he did this to himself. And I hate to say it, but I hope he doesn't watch the news because world peace is not anywhere close. Boy,
we already have world peace.
I mean, has he not seen the Russian-Ukraine thing going on? Palestine, Israel.
We have world peace right now. You're just looking at it in the wrong perspective, my man. The whole world isn't at war. Just little pieces of it is.
Okay.
So
why don't you go tell this guy then?
World peace.
Then why don't you go tell this guy and he can put his arm down? For crying out loud, he wants to at this point. Gosh, that's terrible.
Get a job.
Well, then maybe.
That's what you should. Everyone should yell at him. Get a job.
Maybe he is the reason why we have world peace. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you remember a few months ago, whatever it was, we talked about the basketball that had no air in it?
Yeah, the 3D printed one.
It was essentially 3D printed. I think something. No, you claimed there were there were black market ones that were 3D printed. I think. Anywho, it was going for like $2,400 or something like that. And I commented about what kind of little a-hole kid was going to show up at the gym with one of these. Oh my God! Well, look, this is pretty cool from Autoblog. Michelin's futuristic up-disc tires have no air. This is pretty cool, man. So they look really, really odd, but these are airless tires. And instead of the sidewalls of the tires being convex, they're actually concave, which is the exact opposite of what you think of a tire that's a little more bulbous. And I don't know if you want to show the viewing
I've
audience
seen these.
Oh, you've seen them?
Yeah, they have them for tractors and stuff.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, because I was thinking about replacing the back tires of our zero turn with with these, and then.
Really? Are they like extremely expensive?
I mean, they're more, but it's also they haven't been around for that long. So.
No, and you can see through them, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But it's kind of neat because you eliminate air-related like problems like blowouts and leaks and things like that. They just are there. So my assumption is they would last a lot longer than a regular tire, but it just looks so odd. I don't know. I had never heard of it. So I don't know if these are actually. I think they're going to try and put them into production sometime this year. It says no sooner than 2024. Okay, so that means probably next year or so.
Yeah, I'll show you this. Like John Deere has this stuff.
Oh wow! Oh, those are massive ones too.
Oh yeah, so they have it for the zero turns, and then they also have them for their larger tractors. But yeah.
I think you need to put that on your new Cybertruck. And yes, I'm going to keep the bit up that you have a Cybertruck, even though every week you tell me that you don't. Oh, by the way, I sent you some information on how to fix that your cooling, your auto start cooling and heating. Did you try it?
Not yet, because I forgot how to auto start the car. I literally had to ask my buddy that yesterday because he has a Bronco, and I'm like, this is gonna sound silly. It's on the remote. It says click twice,
Lock.
but like
You got to hit lock first,
Yeah, see,
then
I
the
didn't know
thing
that.
twice.
And then I finally figured out how to turn off the auto high beams because that was annoying.
Yeah.
And then I saw your text. I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna remember this because I probably need it until it gets cold.
Right. Now's the time to test it, I think, because you don't want to be unprepared when it's 100 degrees out. Yeah, I sent you, full disclosure here, onesies, I sent Dick a text that he never responded to. It gave a step-by-step procedure on how to set the climate control for his new Cybertruck when
busy
it is
guy, right?
auto started.
I'm a busy guy.
Real busy.
Yeah. I mowed the yard for the first time in like, I don't know how long.
Busy.
It was tiring.
Was it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because so where I live, there is a drainage between the houses,
Like a culvert?
a culvert, and we had an agreement
Uh-oh.
that if somebody was mowing, we'd mow each other's sides.
Uh-oh.
Well, I guess he hired somebody to do his yard.
Is this the man that's also a woman?
No.
Okay.
So he hired someone to do their yard, and they did an extreme job where they went all the way to the lake. And I was like, there's no way I could go all the way to the lake. Like, how do you do that?
And that's making you look bad. That's putting pressure on you guys to go. You're like, man, no, I got to mow all the way.
So
to the
I
lake.
got to mow all the way. So I'm going down in the zero turn, and then I see this drop off on my side. On his side, it's cool, smooth sailing all the way.
Did you tump over? There ain't nothing more southern word than tump.
There was a moment I almost did.
Uh-oh. Almost tumped, did you?
And I got a little frightened with it, and then I was like, yeah, I'm probably not going to do that. And so I just did a bunch of circles, and then because I was like literally hanging on the edge. And I was like, how am I going to maneuver down this? But that's what the beauty of the zero turns. You can have a lot of functionality with it. So I was like, I'm just going to whip this bee out, and then I'm just going to do it. And I whipped it, and I almost got flung off.
Did you whip it good?
But I whipped it good.
All right.
But then it's great though when you look down the culvert, one side, it's almost like the sideburns got uneven. That's what it looks like, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
But deal with it, neighbor. That's what you get. And stop letting your dog out.
Oh, were you running over surprises, messes in the yard?
He has a sweet, like curly dog. I don't know, they're popular, but for some reason it always gets out. I don't know what, but it always gets out. And always wants back in, but it doesn't know how to get back in. Can't explain it.
Unbelievable.
And he always comes over to me, and he's like, "Hey, man, you let me in over here." And I'm like, I don't know you, and you're not my responsibility.
Sounds like a brilliant dog.
Sweet dog.
Aw.
But I hate that.
The sweet ones are usually not the brightest.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this concept here? I think we're getting close to the end of the show. I have no idea. This
Me
concept of, perfect, I hope we're even recording, earthquake beds.
Hopefully there's not music playing in the background.
Yeah, last week, sorry about that, onesies. We had a bit of a mishap where some audio of our song.
It's still kind of like a mystery.
Well, it is
to me.
scary, too, because we didn't hear it in our headphones. So, we don't know what's going out over the air, basically, at this point, guys. Kind of scary.
Is the meteor passing?
The Hail Bop, we got to jump on.
Is that what it's really called, the Hail Bop?
The Hail Bop, that was the comment.
Like, is that one word?
Not two.
Okay.
Hail Bop comment.
Well,
Have you heard of...
Are we supposed to talk about firefighters? You do this every week.
Oh, yeah, you're right. The firefighter.
You do this every week, and I'm like, I'm waiting for it.
Well,
I want to give him a chance.
It's called a tease, and so I do...
Here,
Man, I don't even know where it is
oh
now.
Oh, my gosh. I'll pull it up. Because you skipped.
I did. No, it's called a tease. You don't want to do it right out of the chute, right? But
yeah, but we're about to end the show.
Yeah, we are about to end the show now, and I forgot.
And he can't even find it.
No, I can't. I think it's because it was left over from the... Oh, here it is. I got it since Dick wants to talk about firefighters. A fake firefighter with a garden hose refuses to leave a deadly blaze, New York cops say. I love this. This is a perfectly written story for audience of one, but in Charlotte, North Carolina, a fake firefighter with a garden hose refused to leave the scene of a deadly blaze in North Carolina.
I wonder what he was wearing.
Now, this is great. He's early March the 27th. Oh my God! See, this is what you got me all.
I didn't do anything wrong. You're the one that's telling the audience we're going to talk about firefighters.
It says
and then we don't.
public safety crews were called out to the fire and spotted a 37-year-old man wearing a New York City Fire Department outfit. Fighting the fire by thanks for showing up, boys. I had it up until you got here. But what's really funny is he refused to leave, and they ended up having to arrest him and they got him on charges of resist, delay, and obstruction of a public officer, and also impersonating a firefighter or medical personnel. This dude was out there trying to fight the fire. It also makes me wonder if he perhaps started it, right? Some of these guys, yeah, that kind of comes to mind.
The chances of the stars aligning like that, like, oh, this is my moment. Let me get my firefighter costume out.
Right. He's got it all at the ready. And I love, he's probably doing absolutely nothing to actually solve the blaze, right? This little single garden hose.
Right?
Yeah, but, if the fire's
something.
big enough. Sorry, that was March 27, and he's 37. And if you guys saw the story I'm reading from here, they're right underneath each other, so it was kind of hard for me to, or easy for me to get those
No one can
transposed.
see this article you're reading.
No, I know that. I'm giving the onesies reason for my stumbling and bumbling around. But I love that. I just love the
Probably
idea.
because you forgot about them.
I did. Not the onesies. I never forget about the onesies.
You forgot about them.
I never forget about the onesies.
But, I mean, I think it's hilarious, and I like the idea of some guy going, this is my chance.
Yes.
And then I also like the idea of the firefighters showing up going, like, who the hell is this guy? And then, please, God,
I got it from here, boys. I got it from here.
Please, God, don't be a problem.
The sad thing
and then
is,
he wouldn't leave.
Yeah, and then the sad thing is, there was a woman that ended up perishing in this house fire.
Why would you need to tell anybody that?
It's part of the story. It's also why he's probably facing charges, because he got in the way, and they weren't able to properly fight this fire.
Yeah, maybe the woman should have gotten out. How about that?
Yeah, maybe so.
Why is it always the woman that's blameless in these situations? She could have easily just walked out.
Continue. Victim blaming. Victim blame. Go ahead. Continue, Dick, with this narrative of yours.
That guy with his hand in the air for 20 years, something years could have done something.
Missed this one, didn't he?
Dude, if I met somebody like that, I'd be like, you're a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, bro.
You think?
Like
yeah, I would think so, too. Apparently still alive. Well. Have you heard of this thing called an earthquake bed? I ran across this the other day.
You mean like the one you put quarters in?
No, yeah, that's the ones that shake that you find at like a motel that you can rent by the hour, prorate. No, not quite those.
You know what I love about that concept? Is somebody goes, hey, you know what would be great if this bed shook itself.
So that's the height of lazy right there.
And then it goes, then we'll put a quarter machine next to it, so it will cost quarters. So you know that some dudes, for a good bit, there's some dude's job is to go into these hotel rooms and get the quarters.
Oh yeah.
So it's just like,
good thing John
your face is right next to what
Yeah, good thing John Stossel didn't take a black light into one of those hotel rooms. There is semen everywhere in this place. But think about it, baby. I want to make love to you, but I'm a little too lazy. So here's a roll of quarters. This will get us going.
Like that's what I'm saying. It's so funny.
Make sure that you have the 55-minute recording for the air.
That was actually implemented.
Oh yeah,
in society.
Yeah,
and that's what I love.
Well, this is not the same, but this earthquake bed was invented by a Chinese man to basically help survival in the event of an earthquake. And basically, what it is, it's a stripped down metal box that opens up when it starts to sense that the earth is shaking, and it basically opens up and swallows you whole and encapsulates you in this tomb. It's absolutely terrifying.
Ooh, I want to find this. Where is this?
In the rundown somewhere. Let's see. It's probably in the first. It's probably in the first.
All over the place today.
It is the last story in the first half of the rundown. I'm sorry, we didn't get time the first half, so
I want to see it.
Yeah, I absolutely want you to show it. But it's absolutely terrifying, and I don't know that I could have one of these. I mean, dying in an earthquake is certainly scary enough. Don't want that to happen, but I'd be so afraid this thing would malfunction. I don't know, like the neighbor slams the door a little too hard, jiggles it, and I get sucked down in.
I've seen these.
And, I actually put a link in there that says picture. I don't know if you saw that. Just for you, Dick. I don't know, I'd just be scared that somebody shut the door and the thing would jiggle, and I'd be closed in there and wouldn't be able to get out.
I like it.
Yeah, it says, when the ground begins to shake, the top of the box pops open, and the mattress, the sleeper, and all will fall right in.
People are really into their beds.
It says the more elaborate versions, meanwhile, look a little like canopied beds with a roof that can slide down to create a tiny sealed-off chamber. I guess if you live in a place that's got a lot of earthquakes, I suppose this might make you sleep a little bit more at night. But I would think you need to have like how they have in the back of a trunk. They have the glow in the dark thing, the release latch. You're gonna have to have a glow in the dark release latch for this thing, man. Because I would be terrified if that happened. Like,
No, I'd probably sleep through it.
well, I guess in an earthquake, if you're buried inside of a building collapse or something, and you're inside this, you're safe. But man, you better make sure you put some rations and stuff in there, some cookies.
You don't already have that in your bed?
Right, just the crumbs.
You don't have that already?
Just the crumbs. All right, quick hit here at the end of the show because I think we're over time, but I don't know. Were you aware that Bugatti, the high-end automobile manufacturer, actually has a banned list?
Yeah.
Oh, were you? Because did you try and buy a Bugatti and they said, Mr. Schisler,
No, I just remember hearing about it because I think like Ferrari, Lamborghini, they all have their own little system.
Yep.
And they have to be on a list, or you can get a banned list. You can get banned from buying a Bugatti.
Correct. It says Tom Cruise is actually on this list. Like I said, he's known for this mind-boggling... Oh, God, whatever. He bought a 1,001 horsepower Bugatti Veyron in 2005 for more than $1 million.
So why was he banned?
I don't know. I'm trying to find that. Come on. It's got to... I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that people will get on the list for somebody else, and they don't like that because it's so exclusive.
Well, from what I understand, like they don't like you reselling it.
That's part of it, too.
So it's like you buy a Bugatti, and then I think to sell it, you have to actually contact Bugatti and say,
That
hey,
I think that might be what it is. Here it is. It says, the reasons for these bans often relate to practices the French luxury brand disapproves of, such as selling someone else's place in line to get a Bugatti or tarnishing the brand's overall image. So apparently with Tom Cruise, he struggled to open the passenger door for more than a half minute at one of these like events promoting Mission Impossible or something. And his then wife, Katie Holmes, couldn't get out of the car, and that embarrassed them. So they said, no more, Mr. Cruise. If you can't open this door, you're not getting one of our cars. How exclusive is that?
You know, imagine getting that letter in the mail.
Yes.
Like you're sitting there and you're like, oh, that was a hard day. I jumped off a bunch of buildings and did a cool running scene. And then it's like, the wife is at home going, hey, baby, you got something from Bugatti.
Oh, great. Maybe it's my my registration. What is this?
Maybe they fixed the door.
Yeah. No, sorry, sir. User error. It says Justin Bieber was also banned from buying a Ferrari because of perceived tasteless modifications to his 458 Italia. Similarly, Floyd Mayweather faces bans from Bugatti and Ferrari for selling a coveted spot on the waiting list. So I guess if you're a high roller, a high baller celebrity, you can get on this list fairly easy or easier than, say, someone like you or I can, and then they can just sell it.
I was on a list.
Right, that's the one where your neighbors can look up and find out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you're an offender, right?
I ordered my car. I didn't get banned.
Well, it's because they know who you are.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm Dick Schisler. Who the hell are you? All right, man. That is all we've got for this week. That was fun. I think we may have run a little bit long, but you know what, onesies? That's more fun and frivolity for you.
I can't wait to get home and change my poopy calendar.
That's right. New month, new dog.
April 1st. And Andrew, it's always a pleasure to see you guys. Audience of One, we're on social media. Lone Star Community Radio, we're a 501c3 nonprofit radio TV station. So support us, donate, and sponsor today. More information, visit us at irlonestar.com/.
I think that was AOO.
That was the best one yet.
I think.
Thank you, onesies, for hanging out with us. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.